Brandon Skinner here, President CEO of Riverside Payments Fly-Right Creative on episode number 7 of the No BS Show. Today we're going to be talking about the importance of storytelling. Here today with Michael Ivanov, public speaker, author, and definitely excited to have you on the show today. So welcome.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So today we wanted to talk a little bit about, again, the importance of storytelling, and you have quite an interesting story yourself. So why don't you go ahead and kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
So I've been wanting to be, as a kid, we all have big dreams, little aspirations. So I've always had creative ideas, these things that I've always wanted to do, and then life kind of took over. It was time to grow up, time to pick a career, time to do. Choose something, when it was time to go to school. So for me, when I chose my career, it was just kind of like out of the hat, just pulled something out of the hat. And, I was like, all right, I'll do IT because at least I'm not going to work out in the rain, and, things like that. But it landed me into a job that, a really crappy kind of environment, just bad office environment, bad, I was sitting in a gray cubicle, no windows in the office and everything. and I kind of got to thinking, I was like, so what the heck am I doing here? Is this all it's going to be? Even if I, continue to learn more and continue to grow a little bit and continue, to make more money, whatever it is, I'm still going to be stuck in this kind of same thing. So that situation kind of got me thinking, got me thinking about life and what I was doing and where I was headed, and that's what kind of pushed me out and to start chasing some of those dreams and kind of start acting like a kid again. I kind of gave myself the ability.
Having those big dreams that we all think about when we're a kid, right?
Exactly, like you almost have to be kind of childish, and that was a cool part about that, is that that environment kind of pushed me back into that mindset, and I was able to start dreaming again and thinking of different ideas and kind of getting out of there. And
that's super interesting too, because I know that each and every one of us have those thoughts, from when we're a kid, even in high school, college, and then even when you're at that career, at that stage, you find yourself sitting there, man, what am I doing? Why do I keep doing this? I want so much more out of life. I don't even enjoy what I'm doing. And you realize you're kind of in a funk or in a little bit of a depression and not really happy with where you're at in your life. So for you, like when you started getting those thoughts and everything, what was the thing that got you to act or got you to pull the trigger and, start doing what you love?
It was just that moment. It was just I was just so done with it. I was, for a long time, everyone was asking, how's the new job? How's it going? And I was just I was telling you, it's good, I'm learning, I'm growing, but on the inside I was done. And it was just finally there's that one day, sitting in the cubicle, the clock's ticking, and I'm just I'm going nuts.
You can hear it tick, tick, tick probably too, even, right?
Exactly, And after that, I'd come into work, I'd work for the first 2 hours, and then for the next 6 hours, I'd just sit and I started reading the Napoleon Hill books, different articles, blogs, motivational, anything I can get.
Started bettering yourself and trying to learn.
Exactly. Good, I was just like, okay, what can I do? How do people get out of this kind of situation? And then that's what inspired me, and that's where I got a lot of the principles for my book, and that's when I wrote that.
Excellent. So where did you come up with the idea for the book, and kind of talk a little bit about that process and what you went through to make it happen?
So I wanted to write a personal development book. I wanted to write, but I didn't feel like I was I qualified yet. I didn't feel like because I learned so much. I wanted to tell other people about it. I wanted to help other people, but I didn't feel like I qualified, or I was coming from a place that had any authority in that. But there's an author that I follow. He's no longer. I think he died in the 80s. Og Mandino, who wrote The Greatest Salesman in the World, and most of his books he writes in a story form. So he tells it in a story, old, usually really old setting stories. But he puts principles in there that people can live by, and that's exactly. And I was like, what? I can't write as an authority from Michael Ivanov yet, but I put it into a story and then put these principles that I kind of created for myself in my personal development journey. So.
Oh, very cool. And that's a really cool approach, and I'm really excited to read it. A few chapters into it, so definitely it's got a great start to it. So excited to keep reading it. And I definitely like the approach too. It's a different way, and it really kind of helps you visualize, I feel, the story and the journey, and kind of really help connect with others and inspire them. So definitely that's a cool approach, and I love what you're doing with with that. So
appreciate that.
Yeah, so with that, it's kind of funny you mentioned the concept or the idea of you're just sitting there thinking, like, what am I doing? And I know as an entrepreneur myself and with everybody out there, we've all had those thoughts, you know, before you started your career or even midway through your career. And I recently, you know, here 4 years ago, went through that same kind of process. Owned a company for 7 years in the payment processing space, and, you know, just found myself kind of complacent, you know, grew it to the maximum capacity that it could grow, and just wasn't really working, but, you know, was making good income. So, you know, just kept going to work from time to time and doing my thing, and just realized, you know, I wanted so much more out of my life. Just had a little daughter myself, so it was like, you know, made me started having me thinking bigger, you know, because, you know, I was only, you know, 26, 27 at the time, and grew a pretty good sized business, and, you know, thought that's all I really could do. And then, you know, after having my daughter and just kind of really thinking and not really enjoying anymore what I was doing, found myself, started having that thought of, like, you know what, I can do so much more. And, you know, seeing other people in the industry, you know, kind of grow up and blow up and, you know, make a name for themselves. Didn't really have that belief in myself, I would say, for the longest time. And then it just kind of hit me, you know, and just kind of, you know, when you have a kid, it kind of changes your perspective a lot of times. And, you know, had the opportunity at that point, went to my business partner, made a creative difference with the idea of growing and being bigger. So decided to sell my shares to my old business partner. And at that point, you know, figured, hey, I get this money and be able to start and kind of really grow and take things off. But, you know, at that point, you know, we ended up having a little bit of a dispute and really had to start over completely from scratch with no capital, anything like that. And, you know, literally 6 months to a year, you know, we got this little office we dubbed the crack house, per se. You know, it's this old rundown house, red shag carpet, the whole works.
Cool.
And literally recruited a bunch of people from Chipotle and door to door for, you know, 10, 12 hours a day, just knocking doors to really build that pipeline and that income stream to be able to really then reinvest it and grow. So kind of was forced to do the old Gary V, you know, eat shit for a while there, not even by choice, but by sure that was my only option. So, which definitely, you know, was a struggle, but looking back at it now, I don't think Riverside or myself even personally would be where we're at today, or I wouldn't be able to believe that I could do it as well as I did if I didn't go through that struggle. So, you know, kind of a true testament to, you know, you can always do more than you think you can if you believe in yourself, put yourself out there, and just make it your only option to succeed. And you know, when your back's against the wall, you know, you got to rise up at that point. So. And
that's really cool. That's where it kind of, you know, brings us to our topic. You know, the power of storytelling, and that's exactly why it's important for us to learn this thing, you know, called storytelling. Your story is awesome. Like I said, when you first told it to me, we had coffee a while back. It was really cool, and like I said, I feel like storytelling, whether you're listening to somebody tell a story or you're the one sharing your story, there's kind of three aspects of it. So the first thing is you can learn from it or you can teach from it. So when you're telling a story about you know, how you just started from the ground up with the crack house and everything, people may look at you and be like, oh, well, you're lucky, or you got lucky, or you had this opportunity, that's why you're able to succeed. And when you tell your story, then you can teach somebody, like, oh, this is how it actually happened, or this is how it's done, this is what success in business actually looks like. And the same thing for me. That's exactly, you know, like when people look at it, they think, oh, you were always creative, or you were always this, and it's just not the case. It took a lot of hard work and
blood, sweat, and tears. You know,
exactly.
We all are the same.
Exactly. And the second thing to that storytelling does is it connects us. So when you're talking about your struggle, I'm remembering my own, you know, moments of people telling you to get the hell off your porch. You know? And that automatically, it's like, well, you know, like all of a sudden we have this connection. All of a sudden, you know, we understand each other on a way different level than just somebody, you know, talking to somebody on a train. And the biggest thing about, you know, the power of storytelling is the inspiration. You know, you can inspire so many people through your story, and that's how, you know, I've been inspired by seeing other people succeed and, you know, step out and, you know, fight past their insecurities and their limitations and their their fears and their worries, and that's exactly it.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool. You know, I always wanted to be, you know, as a kid growing up, wanted to be an NHL hockey player. You know, you have those big dreams, and it's cool to be able to see that now I'm able to inspire people in a different way, that they can do more than they think they can. And that's definitely my biggest passion, I would say, is really truly being able to use my story to inspire others, because you really can come from any background and truly make it. There's so many examples or stories out there of your LeBron Jameses, your top athletes, of them coming from nothing all the way up, and then just a normal guy like myself and yourself being able to come up and, you know, with no real training, just kind of figure it out through hard work and determination, and just believing in yourself. And I think that's a big part too, is when you get those ideas and those concepts in your head to really, you know, when you start thinking about it and you find your passion and you figure out what you love to do, you have to believe in yourself, put yourself out there, because you could be that next inspiration to inspire others out there. And, you know, it's been really cool, especially the last year with, you know, all the growth we've had and a lot of the new reps. I've been working with them quite a bit, and just being able to help them, you know, with no sales background, come and inspire them to go do more and get uncomfortable, you know, and get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because that means you're growing, and just really reach really high levels of success themselves. So like you said, that's the part of connecting, and that the power of storytelling and helping them to visualize and really see that you can do whatever you put your mind to out there. And that's really awesome. That's definitely my new passion, and something I'm loving these podcasts more and more, just because it's really getting out there, and, you know, just learning and meeting people, and you know, learning their stories and their background has been very cool. So definitely inspiring. So
that's awesome.
But yeah, so with that in mind, why don't you tell us a little bit more about the book, the Mount of Olives here?
Yeah, so the book is called The Mount of Olives. It's 11 Declarations to an Extraordinary Life, and like I said, it's written in story form, as you know, and it's principles that I learned in my own personal development journey, but I put them into the story. It's about this kid who has failed at everything that he's tried, and he's born into a very tough circumstance. So once he believes that, you know, success is no longer possible for him, he kind of quits on everything, just like we often do when times get tough, and he bails, and then he meets this wealthy merchant, and from him he starts learning these principles to extraordinary living. So. Yeah.
No, very cool. Well, definitely everyone should definitely check that out. With that, kind of one of the things you mentioned in there is with success, and you know, when you stop believing, you kind of quit and you run at that point. I think that's something that we've all experienced in our lives at one point or another, and that's something that at that point, what do you do when you kind of get down to lift yourself back up? Because, you know, even as you're moving and you're doing what you love now, right in the book, I'm sure there's struggles that you've ran into. So when that happens, what do you do at that point?
Well, first you whine like a little girl for a little bit, just like I always do.
It's true. We all do a little bit, right?
You like to think that you have some sort of formula, but honestly, sometimes you can get caught up into that. You know, complaining, kind of the world's against me. But honestly, it's just little by little, I just find something every day, like what can I do today that'll move me forward, you know, even if I whine all day or complain all day or bitch all day, maybe I can find the one thing that'll kind of move me forward, maybe find another prospect, maybe another bookstore that I can maybe talk to and get my books in there, and, you know, because it's self-published, you know, marketing is the other aspect of it. It's a lot of hard work for that.
Yeah. So. Definitely not easy doing it yourself like that, for sure.
Exactly, yeah. But yeah, just every day, just find one thing that you can do that'll move you forward, and then you can complain for the rest of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, just the one thing that can move you a little bit forward.
Yeah, and that's a great way to do it. You've kind of simplified it, you know, because obviously you have your end goal, your vision of what you want to accomplish and how many people you want to inspire. But really, you know, you have to know what that is. You have to think about that and have that to motivate you. But each day when you wake up, you can't focus on the future, or you can't worry about the past. You have to really focus about that day right then and there, because that's the only thing that really matters at that point. Learn from the past, you know, have those the future to motivate you. But like you said, be better day in, day out. It's one of the sayings we say here all the time, but it's so true. And if you simplify it to that way, you know, it's easy. And the easier it is, especially on a hard day, you're going to definitely be able to push yourself and kind of get through it. And definitely maybe whine a little bit. You know, I've been there myself multiple times. And, you know, that's where surrounding yourself with like-minded people, positive people, following,
That's
you know,
exactly it.
your Gary V's, your Tony Robbins, and just making sure you have that circle of friends and
Yeah.
family that you can count on. You know, if it's a really bad day or bad week, that can kind of help get your mind right and get your head back in the game.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something else that I know I use a lot too, is that motivation and just connecting with people such as yourself to be able to inspire me to do better and be better than I am. So.
Exactly, and then your moments of complaining are a lot
Yeah,
shorter.
further apart and shorter.
You're already figuring out a process of how to get yourself out of that faster,
Exactly.
faster each time. So.
Yeah, and that's what it's about too. You know, one of the big things that we focused on doing with all the businesses I've been a part in is developing a system.
Yeah.
So when you develop a system, you develop that routine, and you have to have your individual system in place too, to get you in that routine of being successful. Because it's a work in progress, and everybody's a little bit different. You know, some people like to wake up, do some yoga, to meditate. Myself, I like to go to the gym, get an early morning workout in, watch a little positive video in the morning, and then listen to some music and kind of get juiced or get pumped up, you know. So that's my routine in the morning. What about yourself? What do you do in the morning to really get out there and go?
I have to spend some time alone, man. I have to. I'll get up, and me and my wife get up at the same exact time. But I'll get up, and I try not to talk. You know, I won't get on my phone. Well, sometimes I get on my phone. When I'm on my routine, I try not to. I try to kind of just separate myself from everything and just sit and just think and kind of. Almost I have this big whiteboard where I have everything that I want to focus on, whether it's for that day or for that week, and I kind of just go over that and just think, just think about it and kind of meditate on it, and that always puts me in a kind of a position of power over my day versus my day just coming at me and kicking my ass when I'm not expecting it. So.
For sure. No, and that's exactly to my point. You know, each person's a little bit different and a little bit of a different style to get in that rhythm and that routine for the day to where you can go out there and really hit the ground running and be successful. So that's a cool approach to that. And then I wanted to share one more story kind of on the struggle and the hard work part of our side of things. Kind of like you said, it's definitely a lot of hard work. You know, you're out there, you got the book written now, and you still got to put in that work to really get out there even more, right? So it's kind of interesting. I've never told this part of the story before, but like this past year at Riverside, we've been getting a lot of awards and a lot of recognition in the press and everything, which has been pretty exciting. But it's kind of weird feeling or vibe too, because at that same time we've grown so much. I would say last year is probably the biggest struggle we've ever had as far as just how fast we grew, just maintaining everything.
More problems.
Yeah, more money, more problems, right? So with that, you get all these awards, and it's like nonstop fires and juggling the different headaches and stuff that comes from growing from a regional to a national company. And it's definitely, there was a lot of hard times, and that's where, especially lately, I talk so much about focusing one day at a time and surrounding yourself with the positive people, because if you focus on all the negative shit that gets thrown your way from life and just growing a business and going to work, family, all of it, you can get really overwhelmed. So that's where have your little pity party for a minute, but then make sure you got to get up. You got to make sure that there's too many people relying on you at that point. So you can't let that overwhelm you, and just focus at the day at hand and not every little thing that's going on. And then if you have 10 items on your list or 10 things you have to do, focus at one at a time and just focus on, realizing that you can still accomplish that. So don't give up on your dreams. When it gets really hard, a lot of times it gets really hard right before you break through to that next level. So it's going to get harder before it gets easier. So know that out there and just really focus on that. And again, connect with people and find a story and continue to learn and find another story to really inspire you to get out there and keep going. So
that's awesome.
But so to kind of recap, what would you? So the three main points with storytelling are.
So storytelling teaches us.
Yep.
It connects us and it inspires us.
Yep.
And through those three aspects, you find, like you said, find the one thing that inspires you, the one person, the one story that really motivates you, and stick to that. Don't just try to get everything, because that can also lead you down a lot of different paths if you're just getting all these different guys that are inspiring or motivating you. But find the one thing that inspires you, and just follow that track, follow that person and the way they did it, or that story. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that in mind, find the person, the story, excuse me, that inspires you. And then when you get that idea and you find your passion, remember, it gets in your head there, plan it, keep doing what you're doing, obviously, until you can figure out how to do what you truly love to do, and just go for it, because you're going to live a much happier life at that point. And the last thing you want to do is live a life full of regrets. All right. Yeah. So with that in mind, make sure to pick up a copy of the book. I'm going to be posting it down in the comments. Thank you so much for joining us on the No BS show.
Thanks,
yeah, excited to see what the future holds for you.